What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Dickie and Donny Show, presented by Business on Purpose. My name is Brandon or Donny, and I'm with my co-host Shawn or Dickie, and we are Dickie and Donny. We are a couple of business coaches that work for Business on Purpose, existing to liberate business owners from chaos. And as we're currently recording this podcast right now, this is fresh off of Memorial Day weekend. Dickie, what did you and your family got any traditions? Any Memorial Day? Are y'all go out on the boat and drink 2,025 Coors Lights?
I've never been a boating kind of guy. My
Land
youngest
guy,
just turned
big land guy.
12. Yeah, big
Okay.
big into land. I get seasick. And so my youngest just got a fishing pole for his birthday, a new fishing rod.
Heyo,
So
ripping
he's been doing
lips.
some bass fishing. We're gonna go out this weekend and head to the coast and try to do some fishing. And I'm not a big fisher, but he likes it, so I'm all in.
Yeah,
Checking out the
good
wacky
for him.
rigs. There's all these certain types of bass rigs I'm
Wacky
learning
rigs,
about.
that's a new
You know what
one.
a wacky rig? It's like looks like a worm and it kind of does this and hits every time.
I wonder if there are fishermen listening, fisherwomen, sorry, listening to
Fisher
this.
fisher people.
Fisher people. I can't. We're there though. I think we have to
Yeah,
do it.
yeah.
Listening to you say whacker reel and
Wacky rig.
wacky rig, and
It's like a
like
type of lure for
they
a
got to be shaking
bass.
their heads. They
Oh, I
have to
have no
be.
idea what I'm talking
Um,
about. I was trying to restring his stupid rod and I was like, this is
I'm
just
from a
massive.
landlocked state. I'm from a landlocked state where you could throw
What do you
bread in a
guys
little
do in
pond and
Indiana?
basketball.
Basketball.
All
Uh-huh.
of my trauma was I used shooting a basketball in my driveway to try to get through it. And it didn't help with the trauma. I did learn to shoot a basketball, but it didn't help with the trauma at all. But
I don't know if we've talked about this, but I used to shoot baskets all the time. And that
did
was
you?
I got my one spot. It's about 12 to 14 feet, just right of the free throw line every time, man. That's
You
my
know what that's
spot.
called? You know what they
No.
call that in the basketball? It's the elbow.
At the elbow.
It's the elbow. Or you could call it depends on how far away it is from the free throw line. If it's right there, kind of at the corner where the free throw
Just
line and the
kind of,
lane
yeah,
touch,
yeah.
that's the
Just a little
elbow.
bit off of it. Yep.
Or the wing if you're really over there. It'd be called the
Okay.
wing. Or the
I
baseline.
I'm not as good on the
So
wing. I'm more of an elbow kind of guy.
okay.
Head,
Okay.
shoulders,
My wife
knees, and
says I
toes and
use too much
elbows.
elbow when I dance, but I also am just a big person. So
Mhm.
for
What
Memorial
did
Day, we went to Atlanta, the booming metropolis of Atlanta, Georgia. Took my kids to a first Braves game. One of them was
mm,
aware that baseball was happening, and one of them was aware that food exists. That's the only way we kept Noah
mm,
intact, but
heck
that was
yeah.
good. And then we got to go to the Georgia Aquarium, and I don't know if you've seen a dolphin
It's very
show
cool.
or a beluga whale up close, but man, for a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old, I like might move to Atlanta and buy season passes if that exists because just the entertainment value is great.
Nice.
But
Atlanta's
anyways,
trying to be like Charlotte, just trying to be an up and coming
okay,
Charlotte in all their
okay,
work.
yeah, that's it.
They'll
I
get
think
there.
so. A lot of rappers started in Atlanta, so we'll
Mm.
probably hear about it soon in the rap game. But if you're still listening after all that, Dickie, what
Where
were
is
we?
this going?
Nowhere. Welcome.
Nowhere.
It's
Well,
like we're the Seinfeld of podcasts. It's about nothing, but at the same time, it's about everything. You know what I mean? Like it's
yeah.
everything.
We
Uh,
have very dense content traditionally, and in that last 8 episodes we've done where we're hitting it
yeah,
hard.
yeah, yeah.
Maybe
100%.
this is a little bit more like people get to know us and now let's get to it. No
Okay,
sense.
what are we
Right.
talking about, Dickie?
So we're talking about the one tool as a contractor that you
That's right.
absolutely have. So if you were to build one tool this week that's going to change the direction of your company for
When you
years
say
to come,
tool, like hammer, like oh, I need a hammer to do my job. What do you mean when you say tool?
I mean a business tool. What sort of
System or
document,
yeah.
system,
Got it.
process that you can put into your business that would change the course of your business? So
If
we'll say
used,
it,
yes, if used
yes,
and
if used
implemented would
correctly.
change it. Yeah.
Yeah. So what would you say? Go three, two,
Here's what we'll
one.
do because, well, we do prep for these calls. Those of you that didn't think, like, the fishing thing was not prep, Memorial Day was. We did say we were going to come into this call. We've not talked to each other, but we both have one tool picked out for contractors specifically. And I would argue with the businesses that aren't contractors, this works too, but we both have
Sure.
one tool. So let's count down and see if it's the same thing. You ready?
Three, two,
Two.
one. Forecasting.
Forecasting. Okay, nailed it. I figured that would be it. So the forecasting document, I'm not talking about 72 and sunny on Friday. We're talking about forecasting out revenue. And
Cash flow, cash
cash
money.
flow, cash rules everything around me, singing dollar dollar bills, y'all.
Hmm.
That was for cousin Daryl. That's probably too new of a rap song, but forecasting out your revenue. I'll give it the brief elevator version and then Dickie can jump into it a little bit. But what we do with forecasting is we set up a spreadsheet and we look, what is the revenue we're expecting to get months in advance, 12, 18, even 24 months, depending on your lead times. But if I have a $1 million job that is starting in June and it's a 10-month project, and the way I draw is I just do the equal amount of money every month. Great. That's $100,000 for 10 months. Then in June, I put $100,000. And then in July, $100,000, August, and you just scale it out and you do that for all of your work. And it just adds up what you're expecting in the future months. And there's a lot of things we can draw from it, but that's as simple as it is. List every job you have and the expected amount of money you're drawing per month in the future. And that's your forecast. Dickie, how, I guess, do you want to go into more detail or do you want to see some of the things that this allows us to see?
I can make this document in less than an hour with clients, and I call it a crappy rough draft, as Anne Lamott calls it, the writer. She doesn't use the word crappy, but I'll let you fill it in. But crappy rough draft, I get a
Mm,
rough cut number on overhead, a rough cut number on cost of goods, and then we plot the projects, total revenue, total
yeah.
amount of months, and get it on paper. Just get something down where you can. And I'm telling you, just a pitch for this. I have done this with so many clients that are stressed, that are up all night, that are worried about cash, that don't know how many projects they've got coming, and they'll get something like this in less than an hour, 45 minutes,
Yeah.
committed to track this out, and they're like, oh, if we just keep this path that we're on right now, if I just commit, I've already signed these contracts, I
Yeah.
commit to doing this work, we do this work well, we are profitable as a company. And I'm like, yeah, you are, you're doing great. And it's just a freedom as a business owner to then,
That's right.
you've got more flexibility in going after bigger projects or projects that are more aligned with your
Yeah.
work. So you're not just, oh, I better take this project to keep the lights on and keep the guys moving. No, take a project that lines up
Hmm.
with your ideal work that you're really great at. So I'm just, as a business coach working with owners for years, it's been really cool to
Hmm.
see how powerful this is.
Yeah, I'm thinking back. We did an interview with our director of coaching, Damas or Thomas. I don't know if we're throwing D's in front of everything. And I think he
Mhm.
talked about it. This tool, when it originally was started, was actually not called forecasting. It was called the start sheet. Because what it would measure is if I have 3 active jobs running, well, I need to know when the next one's planning on starting. So I know if there's going to be a break in revenue. If I'm ending this job in May, but my next one doesn't start till July, well, I have a gap in June, right? So it was actually called the start sheet. But what we realized is we are able to see so much more data out of it that it really is a forecast. And it's not
Mhm.
exact numbers. I have some clients that like to go back in after and put in exactly what they drew that month.
Yeah,
And
great.
I think it's fine, but that's something different. The forecast, like when I look at this weekend, I know my wife and I are hanging. We were in Atlanta last week. We're just hanging this weekend. I'm looking, is it warm and sunny? Do I want to plan a pool day? Do I want to plan where we have some friends come over? And I look at the forecast and it says that it's going to 83% chance of rain and it's going to be 90 degrees. Okay, probably not a good pool day. If it ends up being 88 degrees and it drizzles a little bit, that's okay. I don't need it to be exact. It's helping me make a decision for the future. And I think
Mm.
that's what this forecast does. It doesn't need to be penny to penny. That's why my clients that want to go back and fill it in, that's all you, but that's not what I'm using this tool for. And some of them
Mhm.
have done some really cool things. But man, to be able to see amongst our 8 to 10, and I have a client that does, 400 or 500 jobs a year because he's a contractor and does shutters and they have a forecast as well. And it's all these little jobs, all these little $300, these little $2,500, they add up to show us like where are our major gaps. And I'll tell you where it's really helpful to be able to say, if I got a new custom home coming on the market or a new job, when do I start it? I could start it right now, but I'm not going to be able to get to it. Or do I intentionally push it off a month because I know next month I need this 20% deposit to catch up from jobs
Mhm.
that aren't starting and all that. So this
So
forecast tool,
profitability is helpful. You get
yes,
and then scheduling and decision
yes,
making, right? So
yep.
that's what I'm hearing from you. What else are you getting from this one document, this one spreadsheet?
So honestly, reach out to Dickie or I. It's Shawn, SHAWN at businessonpurpose.com or Brandon at businessonpurpose.com or just go to businessonpurpose.com and go to contact me. If you want, we're happy. If you schedule time with us, we will give this to you. We'll even help you build it out. We are not harboring this tool. That's not the point. We exist to liberate you from chaos, not to bamboozle you into paying us to do that. Although I would argue our services are amazing and you probably should pay us a dues.
Exceptional. One of our
Yes.
services is exceptional.
Um, I press on. So yeah, imagine what this looks like, and I'm gonna not bore you with all the details of it, but if you can get each month for the next 18 months, this is the amount of money I'm expecting. So just you have that number, right? It's 150 this month, it's 178 next month, whatever it would be. It's that number. I like to break this down a few ways. One, I need to know what's our cost of goods percentage. Quick
Mhm.
vocab. Cost of goods is any job related price. If I were to lose all my jobs, would I still have to pay for that lumber? No. Would I still have to pay for my electrician? No. Those are cost of goods. So we get that. It's generally anywhere from 60 to 80 to 85% for contractors up to home builders, whatever. So we get that number. We know that number prior. And it's like, okay, if 75% of every dollar I bring in goes straight to subcontractors, materials, all that, well, I want that number because that 178 isn't 178. It's 178, but you have to take 75% out of it. So we take that out right away. I have a line that takes that out for you based on a
Mhm.
percentage. And then we use what we call an overhead tracker, and we get what is the amount of money that my business needs to spend to stay alive. So if I lose all my jobs, you still got to pay rent. You still got to pay all those other things. You got to pay utilities, marketing. You got to pay for the coaching that is detrimental to you getting where you want. You got to pay for all these things. So we get that number. And if you're on YouTube, Dickie's pulling it up. If you're on Spotify,
Yep.
go to YouTube or reach out to us.
Go to
Uh,
YouTube.
but
Yeah, check it out.
but yes, you can see it here, right? You can see over on the left, those are the jobs, and this is just an example. But out to the right, it's just tracking there, starting in January, the expected. And then Dickie, if you could scroll down a little bit, right? That cost of goods, 84% in this example, call it 75. Perfect. We need to know our overhead. What are our salaries? What do I need to pay regardless of the work I get in? We have to know that number. In this example, it's 20,000. I have businesses where it's up to 145. They're pretty big, a lot of employees, a lot of overhead. All that means is we got to keep our foot on the gas pedal to bring in work to support overhead plus cost of goods. But what this gives you is down here, it adds those up into total expenses. And then based on the amount of money that I'm planning on bringing in each month, it gives me an all in, all out number after I pay all my bills and pay all my people and pay all my cost of goods. How much money am I expecting to bring in each month? Now, we have not taken out taxes and we've not taken out any sort of profit, but this number, every business has a threshold of where they want to get. Some businesses just want to see positive. $1 is good enough. Some businesses want to see 50,000 a month. Some businesses want to see $100,000 a month after they pay all their bills. But what it allows us to do is knowing your overhead and knowing your cost of goods. This is a subtle plug for our summer financial tune-up series that will be. It was out there last year. We're bringing it back this year, July of 2025. I don't know when you're
Dickie and
listening to this,
Donnie
but
do dollars. How about that? Not do
whoa,
business,
Dickie
do
and Donnie
dollars.
discuss
Do
dollars.
discuss
Uh,
the dollars.
Yes. You know, we'd get a few with that title and we'd lose a lot, I think, but we'll talk through it.
The ones we lost would not be worth complaining over. You know,
I like it. That's knowing your ideal client, people. Listen, we're about everything, but we're about nothing, but at the same time, we're about everything.
you know
So
what
we
I'm
are the
really good at?
Seinfeld.
I am really good at throwing you off your train of thought.
What makes you think that?
Because
I'm
every time I say something ridiculous, you're thinking, what is he saying? Why is he talking still? And how can I get this sentence out?
Can we talk about the importance of time blocking your schedule? Because every time you get distracted, it takes you 23 minutes to get back.
Uh,
Yeah, you are. I'm a lot of
so
things,
what do
but
you, so let's
easily
say this is
distractible.
my, say this is Sean contracting, and you see I've got, three contracts here, about
Yep.
$825,000 for the next 6 months. How are you going to coach me on this? What are you going to lead me through in
So
this document?
this is how I like to do it. I just ask a bunch of questions because I need to make sure we're using the same language. So, first
Okay.
question would be, hey, what's your structure for your draws? Like in this
Okay.
situation up here, and if you're not looking, the contract value Main Street Edition is a 6 month project with a total contract value of 425 grand. Now, I don't know when this starts, but according to this, we are getting $10,000 up front. So, my first question is, hey, what is our draw schedule and what do we take up front? Some
Okay.
people take 50% up front and they'll take 50% upon completion. That's okay, but if it's an 8 month job, we're getting paid once and then 8 months later, we're getting paid again. Not a big deal if that's your structure, but we need to know that. So I would just ask
Mhm.
questions. What's your draw schedule? Well, I take 10% up front and then I just equal it out. If it's going to take me 6 months, I just divide my leftover money by six, and that's what I take each month. Is it by completions? Because if it is, we can do a schedule of values, which is a whole nother thing. But what's your draw schedule would be my first one.
Great.
And then my next step is okay, give me 3 jobs that you have current and let's just throw it up there and see.
Okay. Great.
Every time we start throwing up the monthly expected, they start to say, well, I usually take a draw and then I don't take a draw the next month because of X, Y, or Z. So I restart the next. Okay. So we're learning, oh, we're already learning patterns and that's what we
Mm-hmm.
want. So we start to fill out our expected draw for these 3 jobs. And
Mm-hmm.
then that gives us this total at the bottom of each month. What is all of that adding up to?
So in these
So,
cases, I've got a
yeah,
pre-construction agreement that says there's a $10,000 deposit that gets
yeah,
paid towards the end of the goal,
all the
end of the
time. And yeah,
project.
yeah,
So there's my 10,000. This one is a different one. Cheval, we did something differently, I guess there. So that's
yeah, whatever it was.
$50,000.
Yep,
So then I've got 175, 100 for this one, 75 per month for this one. And then this one starts in June. But here's the numbers. I've got 20 grand of overhead. That's
yep,
all my trucks, tools, toys, people, taxes,
yep.
internet, all my things, right, go into overhead.
That's right.
So what
That's
are you
right.
coaching me on? Like, what are you seeing in this that's good or concerning?
So, well, again, I would ask more questions. So we come down and right now, if you were to look at this, can you scroll down a little bit, Dickie?
Mhm.
Thank you. So our profit at the end of this in January, because we only have one $10,000 pre-construction agreement, we're losing 17.5 after you add in overhead. So, okay, we're starting in the red, but then the next few months, we're 7,500 positive, then we're 23,000, back down to 10,000 in May. So we have some profit coming in. My next question would be, are you comfortable with making $7,500 a month on top of it? You're paid through salary, bills are paid. Are you
That's
okay with
assuming that my
with
salary's through this, and that's assuming that
correct?
we're profit first
Correct.
and putting money into
Um,
profit account. Yep. And
Correct.
that's
Well, that overhead I don't include in profit. I don't. I think there's a different way to look at that because I have some people that will put a tax line in this
mm-hmm,
and add in
mm-hmm.
taxes so that whatever's afterwards is genuinely gravy on top. I have people that
That's
do it different ways.
this is your net that everybody's geeking out
Yes.
about. What's your net
Yes.
profit, right?
So,
There, that number right there.
my next question would be based on what we're seeing, are you happy with $7,500 net each month? And they'd be like, that'd be what, 85 a year? Quick math. I don't know if that's true, but 80, I'd be okay with 85 grand of actual net a year if that was real, if that was a real number in the bank account. Okay. So,
So
what we're
based
going to
on
do,
825, that's going to be roughly 10% net, right?
yep. And
Yeah.
if that's what they want and they're comfortable with that, okay. It's not my job to force you to get more than you want. I'm happy to get you there, but it's if
Mm,
you're happy with it, then okay, that means, and I work backwards. That means for you to get 7,500 after your
mm-hmm,
overhead and cost of goods, you need to be bringing in $110,000 a month. Like that's where we work
mm-hmm.
backwards, and that's our new target. So
Yeah.
110 is the bare minimum of what I need to be bringing in as a business. And we look forward. Okay, March we got 175, we're good. April we got 175, we're good. May we're at 120, we're good. Up until August we're good, but in August we have 100,000, which means
Mm,
we need to start a job and we need to be doing either we need to start work earlier or we need to be getting a pre-construction agreement or a pre-whatever agreement in August
okay.
to support that to 110. Like that would be
So
kind of the we work backwards.
I got a project on Brandon Street. Nope, it's called Donny Street actually. Donny Street, and it's a 6-month project, and it's going to be $500,000.
Yep,
I'm
and
going to
that's
add
my
that
yeah.
in.
We're getting a new bathroom, so
Do you put in the
uh,
gold inlays in the bathroom and the heated toilet seat and the heated handles and the air
yeah.
conditioned doghouse? Is that what you're doing in your $500,000 bathroom?
No, our whole house is an air-conditioned doghouse.
Oh,
Is how we look at it. So we bought that
yeah,
years ago.
yeah, that's beautiful.
So, okay, let's say this, and let's say that I'm putting my 10% down in August. Perfect. And then it's $100,000 draws for the next 4 months, and then the rest of it's
Okay.
taken out on month 6. So let's say that's the situation. So now, yep, you
Let me show you how to do this.
segue.
You drag this over and it just creates those new things. Isn't that pretty cool? And then we get
Okay, just
90,000.
keep it. Okay, I was gonna say great in January the next year. So now when we add in that new job, if you're on Spotify, you're like, what in the world? All we did is we added another job to this forecasting and it brought up our expected forecast per month to different numbers. So August, we're now at 110. So what we would do, and you see it's yellow on here, we would format that to where when it gets to that number you want, it turns green. So let's assume that that's green. In September, we're only making 100 grand, which means we're only bringing in 5 grand on top of as gravy. So
Slim
that means
margins. That's tight.
that's where that forecast shows. I don't know. Is the percentage high enough on rain for me to not plan to go to the beach today? Or can I go out and plan on going to the beach because it actually looks sunny? It doesn't need to be
Mhm.
exact, but it gives us that range. And this number is pretty clean. When you actually build yours out, you will see it happens every time. You'll see holes where you're like, why
Mhm.
is
Right
September
here. Yeah, look
a
at this white.
100 grand lower than everything else? And it just starts to bring in these major holes. So this tool, because it's so, I will call it simple. I don't want to call it easy to build out. It's just simple in concept. Just put all your work and all your expected draws going forward, and then put in a few metrics of what cost do you have, what's your cost of goods, your overhead, and let the spreadsheet do the rest. It's so simple in concept to build out.
Love it.
I think a contractor, this changes the game. Every time I've done it, I've gotten
Mm.
oh my gosh, there's clarity here and I'm not happy about it, but there's clarity. So I know what I need. I need to get off my butt and go get some work. Or I can sleep at night because I know these things are coming in.
Yeah.
So this
I'm
tool,
super basic too. So I just did this beautiful conditional formatting that says if the cell is filled, it's gray. So now I know if I see white, I'm like, oh, I don't like that white. I need
yep,
projects at the end of the
yep.
year. The other thing I've done with clients is that I'll just add this first half of the year and
Add
I can,
what? For the people that aren't watching,
oh,
add what?
thank you. I'll add the profit line together. So this is showing me net profit, but if I want to get a sum of that, Google is beautiful. It says, all right, there's my
Hmm.
sum for the year. Or if I want to do a rolling average, there's ways to do that too. But if I want to see, okay,
Yep.
what's my average, easily change that to average and see what's my average expected over the first half of the year. And it's 14,000. So
So we're
there's just
good.
so many
Yeah.
ways we can use this tool. Again, I like your thoughts. Ask questions. Why is your overhead 20? Why is your cost of goods to 75? Are you okay with losing money some months? Is that, does that fit your
Yeah.
risk
Can you
profile,
carry
your
that? Yeah.
leadership? Is
That's
that going
right.
to be emotionally taxing on you or, if you have a partner or other people?
That's
Like
right.
there's just so many questions that a very simple document, if you're asking the right questions, will unearth some of these things in your business that are deeper issues and get to
It's
the.
wild. It's
Mhm,
wild how it happens. And one of the things, Dickie, that I'll say to that, can you scroll back down?
mhm.
Um, is man, you really do get me off my train of thought.
I
I had
think
it,
that's
y'all.
the thing that I like getting people off their train of thought is that they think differently. Like it forces you to like, what am I talking about? Where are we going? I don't know. It
Yeah,
just
but
like,
I see value there if I can get back to it. But in
oh
moments like
yeah.
this, when I'm like, I got nothing, I don't know how beneficial
Well, we were talking
that is.
about
Oh, here it
averages
is.
and yep, go ahead.
Thank you for challenging me, Dickie. Is a lot of our tools supplement each other. This forecasting start sheet is wildly helpful to make decisions down the line. What do we do with
Mhm.
scheduling? How do we do all this? This does not measure cash. It gives you ideally this month we're bringing in 7,500. We have another spreadsheet that manages the actual cash in our business called the Level 2 dashboard. But this is that's the tool for any business. That's the one tool I'd choose for contractors. This one is a quicker return on that investment of time. But that level two, what it allows you to do is in February, it looks like I'm making 7,500. If I look at the cash of my business, if I don't see roughly, again, forecast, if it says 90 degrees, it can be 88. If I don't see roughly $7,500 coming into my account on top of everything else, then something's wrong. In this example, in March, we're bringing in 23.7, and in April, we're bringing in 23.7. That's 50 grand in 2 months. If I get to April and I don't see a $50,000 jump in my cash somewhere,
Mm.
that raises questions as well. Because, hey, I'm not saying forecast has to be down to the penny, but man, we're missing this somewhere. That means that our overhead is not accurate, or that means that our cost of goods are not accurate. So
It's just math.
it's simple math.
Yeah.
I had a client I was working with, they're a remodeler, and they were using QuickBooks for their draws and what it looks like and what they were expecting. And his numbers, he was getting about 50 grand a month for the first 3 months of the year. And in April, he's like, I don't see it, but I don't think it's come in yet. Okay, give him a little while. Well, in May, earlier this month, we looked at it. I said, brother, you were supposed to get 150 grand gravy on this, and your cash is dropping. And it brings up the question, where's the opening? Where's the window
Hmm.
open? Where's the air conditioning slipping out? Like
Holes in the
something's
bucket.
happening, and it caused us to go back and realize QuickBooks was doubling everything. Like
Mm.
it was not accurate to what he was actually invoicing back in his construction software that he was using. That was accurate, and it told a totally different story. That showed that he was losing money, which represented in his cash. So understanding forecast and what it's actually used for, you cannot go buy a $7,500 tool or
Right.
whatever if this says you're going to get that money. But man, does this bring color to the book that is your bank account. And
Yeah, the
this just,
bookends. So the book,
it,
the forecasting, this is future, this is idealistic, this is rainbows and
yes,
butterflies, hope, right? Because I mean, technically, all these future payments, a bank could dry up, a person could go broke. These aren't guaranteed money. So then
correct.
anchoring a forecast with an actual cash amount, if I look at this and I see I'm losing 17,000 in January, and my cash flow in January is zero, if I don't have any money in the bank to support this, then that's telling me an even a better story. So if I'm stacking these tools together, I can stack that on top of my cash flow and see, oh, that's a
That's right.
problem. I
It's
had a
we
contract.
call that tool stacking, is what we call that. It's
Yeah,
like atomic
absolutely.
habits, the habit stack, it's just tool stacking.
Tool
So
stacking, and all of our tools stacked together like those cool Milwaukee toolboxes that I covet every time I'm in the big box store. I digress. I had a contractor that was making 100 grand a month in profits. Small shop, small business, but just had a lot of great projects and really low overhead. Lots of 1099 part-time people. He was making 100 grand a month, 50 grand, 80 grand a month. And I was like, what are you doing not hiring somebody? Like, are you enjoying your
right.
life right now? And he's like, no, I'm in the car all the time. I never see my kids. And I'm like, yeah, there's a reason for that, because you're running 7 projects yourself, and
Yeah.
and yes, you're profiting. I know you're trying to start this up and you're doing great work, but wouldn't you feel better if you just took 10 grand of that money and hired a project
Went
manager
and
to
paid
run these gigs?
somebody. Yeah.
He hired 2 project managers in 2 different cities and decreased his windshield time, got he's still profitable. It was like, and
Yeah.
I'm not a genius for suggesting that. It's just he needed that push over the edge to say, dude,
That's
you're
right.
working, you're doing great work, you're making money. Now
Yeah.
just make the next
it
decision
just
and get.
it just brings color to your decision making abilities. It shouldn't make a decision for you, but it brings color to it. One of the other things you can do, Damas, our director of coaching, does
Mhm.
this a
Did he?
lot, and it's a great line, Diddy. So right here in this example, and as we've explained, one of the metrics that we subtract from our expected revenue is overhead. What money am I going to have to spend? He separates overhead expenses from payroll, so they add up to the same, but he
Mm,
separates it. So for instance, if I'm 10 grand a month in payroll because I have 2 employees, let's say,
mm,
what you can look at, or let's do it better. Let's say I'm 20,000 a month in payroll because I have 4 employees. Let's do that example. At the end of the year, if I want to give everybody a 10% raise, if I just wanted to raise it 10%, well, you take that line of 20,000 for payroll and all you do is up it by 20% and see what it does to your forecast. Can you afford to do that?
mhm,
Or what if it's like, man, I want to budget an additional $5,000 a month in payroll starting in January or starting in July because our it gets hotter outside in July. And I love my
mhm.
people enough to give them a little bit extra. Let's say you wanted to do that. Well, starting in July of payroll, you can up it by $5,000 and it just lets you see all the different metrics. What if I, even in overhead, man, I'm really thinking about getting this new software. It's going to cost me $3,500 a month. Well, up it by $3,500 and see what that does to your overall profit numbers. And
Mm,
if like your guy, he's making 80 grand a month, spend 20 grand in salaries, you're still making 60 grand a month, and you have 30 less hours of work. And now you probably
absolutely.
can go make even more money because you have more time to do it. That's why this tool, what you can customize with it in seconds, what you can do with it, and you need
Mhm.
a bare minimum of spreadsheet knowledge. And this is where, if you're listening to this and this just makes no sense, go watch it on YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube and you don't feel comfortable,
Well, if
reach
you're
out to
watching on
us.
YouTube, you just saw me try to make something work in the middle of trying to listen to Brandon, and you see how successful I was with that.
Dickie said it in our core values talk. If you have great core values and you've taught and leveraged them well, you can make up for lacks in other areas. I would say forecasting is similar in that
Mm.
is if you have a very thorough, built out understanding of what your forecast looks like, it overcompensates for some other areas.
I
Now,
tell you,
we
if you
don't
have
want to always
cash
do that,
in
but
general, if you have cash in general, you're going to feel better about
right.
hiring, you're going to feel better about making decisions. You're not going to be, if you're running on $20 of cash, you're going to be stressed every minute of every day. You're going
Every
to wake
minute
up
of every
stressed.
day. That's
You're
right.
going to go to bed stressed. And sometimes you can't crawl out of that hole and you feel like you're fighting it. So
That's right.
get some
Dickie,
cash.
can you get us back on full screen here just as we close
Absolutely.
this
Let's
thing
kill
out?
this out.
How about that? Y'all, the one tool contractors could implement today to transform their business, I believe, is forecasting. We do have a lot else. Dickie just showed you the operating system. Those are the tools to run your business, right? The master process roadmap is how we run our product. That's what's our special sauce? That's all your process. But these tools, the operating system, is the tools that run your business. You might have a business or you might have a pretty profitable gig. Do you want a business? Do you want something that you could actually go either sell in the marketplace, give to a kid that's not a burden, whatever it is, or have a business that runs and grows without you? That is why we do what we do. That is why our founder, Scott Beebe, started this 10 years ago, last month, 2 months ago, is to liberate business owners from chaos to make time for what matters most. If you're interested in that, we've already mentioned it. Businessonpurpose.com is great. Both Dickie and I are coaches in the Business on Purpose firm. We have 8 coaches now, 7 or 8 coaches now, a team of 11, and we're coaching businesses all over the world now. We do have a couple outside
I
of
just
the
signed my
country.
first international client and I am ecstatic about this
Heck
firm.
yeah.
They've
Good
got like
luck for the
four.
Olympics. That's going to be fun when you have to go completely against them. But I got
Oh,
real hot
true.
and heavy
Yeah,
there.
I need to watch my nationalism during the Olympics. I get real hot on other countries and I realize I don't hate other countries, but I'm really competitive. So I'm like, oh, we're gonna beat you,
Yeah,
Germany.
that's right.
But I
100%.
speak German, so I'm not a mean person.
Do
But
you can you close us out in German?
tschüss. Auf
Juice.
Wiedersehen. Tschüss.
Juice.
Tschüss. Tschüss. It means
Juice.
bye. Tschüss. Like, yeah,
Okay.
tschüss.
See ya.
Tschüss. It's
No, this
TS.
was great.
Yeah.
This was great.
Well,
Forecast. Look at your forecast for the weekend. Make your plans accordingly. Don't treat your business any different.
watch your cash, make the money.